Welcome to NEMC TV6 Community Focus. My name is Terry Kozlarich, your host, and with me today is the mayor of the city of Memphis, Dan Weaver. Welcome.
Thank you.
So you had some stuff going on in Memphis over the last few weeks. Can you tell me a little bit about what's been happening?
Well, our community got together and we had a person in town with a beautiful historic home that was actually having water, because the paint was chipping off, the water was infiltrating the home itself. Okay. And one of the things I put forward is if water damages homes just like fire, and if the house was on fire, volunteers would get together and put it out. So a group of volunteers got together and sealed this home up so that it could be preserved for future generations to see.
And how did you find out about this home?
Actually, I had put photos of homes on the internet that I saw through town that were these beautiful historic homes that needed to be painted, and met with a little negativity on that because I didn't like tell the people up front that I was putting photos on. The only person that came forward, came to a historical society meeting was Mr. Kerner. He came forward and said, you know, I'm on disability, I'm on a fixed income, and I could really use some help. If you ever get this program off the ground, please consider me. So when it came about so quickly, a contractor, all trade, came to my house and said, you know, we know you want to paint a house in town. We're willing to give you 15 guys for 2 days. Okay. Which house do you want painted? He was a natural fit. He was the only one who came forward and said, I could use help. So I took him right over there, met Mr. Kerner face to face for the first time, and while I was on site, I called the other people that I'd talked to, said they would give me like paint and brushes and scaffolding, and they all said, yes, that's fine, and we set a date for 2.5 weeks from that day, and within 2 weeks, people were working on site, volunteers.
So you actually did this with zero funding, it was all done with volunteer work?
Zero funding, all done with donations and volunteers, donations from over 20 companies, and volunteers that basically heard about it from the Memphis, Michigan local government's Facebook group.
I know that some people are concerned that if they fix up a historical home and make it nicer, that it's going to be affecting their taxes. What do you think about that?
Well, that was the case at one time. Proposition A, though, puts a cap on how much value can raise per year in your taxes as long as it's owned by the same owner. And improving your home would raise your taxes, like if you added square footage or put a deck on, or like changed a frame home to a brick home. But general maintenance does not, like replacing windows or you know, putting siding on a frame home. Anything that is considered general maintenance would not, you cannot, matter of fact, it's against the law to raise your property taxes on. Okay,
so I understand that Memphis has some new zoning going in down the Main Street. Can you talk a little bit about how that may affect the historic homes?
Well, we're not going to have new zoning for some time. We have our master plan that has just been redone, and it comes out and suggests that we revamp our entire zoning. For a small town that's 1 square mile, having 3 different commercial districts, you know, isn't the most functional for people that might want to come in and put something in. So simplifying our zoning, changing the Main Street zoning, which majority of our M19 zoning is multifamily residential, changing it back to single family residential, and then putting a commercial overlay that allows it to transition over time. And I'm not talking next year or the next year, it might take 15 years, but to transition into a mixed commercial zoning similar to south of downtown Romeo. Where you have little shops and lawyers' offices and things that are in these historical homes, where the community, instead of just the individuals getting to benefit from the beauty, the woodwork inside of many of these homes is just absolutely beautiful. And you've seen the successful cities, they share that with everybody by making it you know, a public area or a office or something like that.
So you seem to have a lot of work on your plate here trying to do this. What would be the best scenario of what could happen for you to move this project forward on additional houses?
Well, you know, I had asked the Historical Society to take this under their wing, and they are in the process of developing how they're going to do it. So through that, you know, people that are interested, I would suggest they go to Historical Society meetings, find out you know, more about the project, get involved in any way. And even if you don't get involved in the Historical Society, if you see one of these projects going on, stop and talk to people, stop and help, pick up a paintbrush, pick up a scraper. It's really exciting when you're on site. You can ask the homeowner here in a minute. I mean, when you're on site and you feel the unity of the community coming together, you see everybody working for a common goal, it's exciting. So I would recommend to anybody, even if you can't work. I ran into a lady at the post office, and she was an elderly lady, and she says, I don't know how much I can do. And I said, even if you're coming there and walking around and saying, can I get you a cup of coffee, or I appreciate what you're doing here, that is part of it. I mean, that's part of it that will move it forward. So definitely just get involved any way you can.
Okay. So if someone decides to invest money of their own, or work with the city or the Historical Society, how will this new area of zoning affect a homeowner? I mean, they've invested money in this beautiful home, and now it's nice and stately. If you have a commercial overlay, would you like to work that so that home still stands out as a residential area?
Well, M19 has about 8,000 cars a day that go by. There is no other road in Memphis that has that type of traffic. If we're going to have any commercial anywhere, it has to be along that corridor. These historic homes are along that corridor, but they're also throughout the town. It's not going to affect somebody immediately. You make sure your historic home is gorgeous and whatever. Eventually, it may be between a home that's been turned into a lawyer's office or next to the grocery store. But I don't believe this is something that's going to affect anyone in the next 10 years.
No, so you don't feel it's going to be a deterrent for somebody?
No.
Okay. Well, that's some good information for me. We're about ready to take a break here, and we'll be right back.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
Welcome back to Community Focus. My name is Terry Kozlarich, and with me are Dan Weaver, the mayor of Memphis, and Rick Kerner, the recipient of the Great Home Redo.
Yeah, they did a fantastic job.
They did a fantastic job. I did see that. So tell me a little bit, how old is your house?
I think it was built in 1889, I think. I got back as far as the 50s before they closed the county building, and I haven't been back to go the rest of the way. Right. It takes quite a while to research year after year.
How long have you been in the home?
12 years.
And was this the only work that you've ever put into it?
Oh, no, I had to take off the whole back of the house. The foundation was bad. I had to rebuild the kitchen and bathroom, and it was quite a lot more than I expected.
A lot more work and a lot
more money. Yeah, when I bought the house, I thought, scrape and paint now, be in good shape. But yeah, I did an awful lot before I even got into needing to paint.
And so how did you hear about the project that they were looking to do in the city?
Actually, my next door neighbor is a city councilman, and Frank told me I should go look on the internet. There's a picture of my house posted.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like, I didn't have any idea. So I got on the Memphis Facebook page, and they were talking about working on the houses. Mm-hmm. And I went to the Historical Society meeting and told them, yeah, it's gotten to the point now where, it's more than I can do. He had an accident and hurt my back. So I haven't really been able to do too much since then.
So even though there was some negativity, you didn't feel that way?
Well, it's a little embarrassing that you can't, either afford it or be able to do it yourself. But I got over that, yeah, because it was way beyond me. There's no sense in lying about it. It would have never happened if it wasn't for Dan.
He was one of them that understood the focus of the pictures, not took it personally. I mean, when you understand the whole feeling that these pictures were posted under, then you won't have a negative feeling about the thing. It's about helping your neighbor. And I had never met Richard in person, and until we showed up to his house with the contractor, telling him, we're here, we're going to look at your house, they're going to paint it in 2.5 weeks.
And I was just astounded.
And how'd you feel about that?
Oh, yeah, I was ecstatic. When I talked to the Historical Society, when they were first, mulling this over, I thought, yeah, right, I should live long enough to see people come and work in my house. And the next thing you know, he's setting everything up. And there was just people from all over the community, scraping and painting, a whole crew doing the siding. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, why don't we look at some of the pictures
All right.
that you got coming up? I mean, it sounds like you had a great turnout.
Oh
for
yeah, a
that.
lot of people showed up.
So this is the house before?
Yeah, that's the north side.
Okay.
That's probably the best side of the house, really.
What kind of damage was there on the house that they needed to take care of?
Well, there was, I had a lot of the scraping done, but as you see, it still needed an awful lot of painting.
Yeah, that's the detached garage.
Yeah.
Okay. And so did they end up repainting all of
Oh,
it?
yeah.
That's the south side of the house.
There we
and,
go.
Only that window portion had been redone on the bottom, and you see they're still scraping, getting some of the paint, prepping it for redoing.
Okay. But did you actually end up painting the home?
No, the contractor called me after, I mean, you can see how much wood is exposed. In saying all that exposed wood, it had been damaged by continual water and drying, getting wet and then redrying.
Okay.
It makes it very porous, so the paint will pop off. If he said it will pop right off if we paint it again. So he recommended we re-side the house.
Wow, Rick, you must have been really excited when you found out you were getting all new siding,
I was just
too, huh?
ecstatic.
And you see, the whole garage was done by volunteers painting.
Okay.
We painted the garage, and only really city volunteers, and the bright green shirts were there to personally paint that.
So how'd you go about getting all the volunteers?
The Facebook page, I put the word out there and told everybody, we're doing the project. As you see, this was at lunch on Saturday.
Okay.
State Representative Andrea LaFontaine provided lunch for all the volunteers. The EMTs, Richmond Lennox EMT, stayed there almost the entire time in case something happened to someone. Okay. And then you see the actual contractors. All Trade is there that did the siding, and kind of the volunteers stayed a little bit out of All Trade's way.
Okay.
and worked back on the barn. But if All Trade had needed somebody to help, they would call and say, hey, can you come up here and do this? And it worked out just absolutely perfect.
And how long did the project take?
The siding itself was almost complete in one day. There was one little side of the house that was not complete. But then you see the peak there. It had to be painted, and that took a couple days afterward. Our ex-mayor, George Kirkendall, here he is right there, at 84 years old, was at the top of that 50-foot extension ladder and
Wow.
painted those peaks. Spent all of his personal time painting those peaks over a 2-day period after the volunteers had left.
Is that because it was all architectural and you wanted to maintain?
We did not want to get rid of that
Right.
beautiful architectural feature on the home. As well as you see the siding, we put the scalloped siding around to where that scalloped wood was to try to maintain that original look as well.
Okay, so was the siding all that they took care of, or what else did they do?
Well, the siding was done. We painted as much as we could over those 2 days. And right now, even now as we speak, the landscaping is in the process of being completed. We got all new bushes from Ray Wheatland's and Dawson's Landscape out here out of Armada, as well as Ruggiero Landscaping teamed up to get all the landscaping done. Up to just yesterday, I had to call a company over in Imlay City to get some taller bushes because we had all small bushes. Schultz Tree Farm gave us some, as well as B&D Plants. So I mean, so many companies came together.
Not even just all the ones located in Memphis. How about your volunteers?
The volunteers were from the city as well as from the surrounding townships, people that care about the city, people that are affected by the city. I mean, you don't have to live in the city of Memphis to have it be something that affects your life. You live in Riley, you live in Wales, you live in Richmond Township or Columbus, and you could use the city of Memphis where we used to have a gas station, we used to have a grocery store. That's where you would come to get your services. And we want to make that come in the future, but first of all, we have to become more of a community and unify a little better. And this is a first step. This is a great, big first step.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of place. So how does it feel living in a nicely redone home?
It's like being in a whole different house now.
Is it,
With the finishing touches of the landscaping, it just looks like it's some rich guy's house now.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to go out in the morning and look at it just to make sure I didn't dream it up.
So are you thinking maybe in the future that if some additional projects come along, you might have some ideas of how you might be able to help?
Yeah, I don't know how I'd ever be able to gather all the donations like Dan did, but I'm looking forward to doing what I can to help on next year's project. I think my house is a real good example of what can be accomplished.
I bet you're glad that you got over it was that this might have stood in your way from contacting the city, and I bet there's
Right.
a lot of other people who wish they had.
I'm sure.
I've actually already had somebody approach me and say, I could use the help. I'd like to paint my home. If I buy all the materials, do you think we could get volunteers together to actually do the painting? And that was the type of idea I had for the project in the first place. was, you know, in painting a home, the major cost is labor.
Correct.
And if somebody can pay for the paint or something like that, we could get laborers to come out and help.
Okay. So you're looking for some other volunteers in the community? I mean, like maybe the Boy Scouts? I mean, don't
Definitely.
children now have to do volunteer projects as part of a graduation project?
Yes, they do. The schools require that, as well as the Boy Scouts get different patches for different things.
Okay.
And the Historical Society is excited about this. After this home, and they saw the difference, especially on our main street of town, and the fact that now people can drive by and go, you know, I was part of that.
Right.
It builds a sense of pride in the community. It builds a sense of neighborliness.
Right.
And now, I mean, Rick knows so many new people that he'll see out and about and just say, hey, you know what,
That's one of
thanks.
your neighbors.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And that's something that doesn't happen much anymore because everybody's off in their own little worlds doing their own little things.
Exactly.
Right.
Well, we're going to take a break for another announcement, and we'll be right back.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
So what do you envision in the future for projects like this?
Well, with the Historical Society hopefully taking this under wing, teaming with the Lions Club, we can start to actually plan this instead of doing a fly-by-the-cuff project like this pilot project was. And I'm hoping that once it all gets planned, we'll have more volunteers joining these groups, more volunteers giving to this type of thing. You know, just the feedback that I've gotten is the whole community's happy that Rick's house is redone. So, you know, hopefully.
Not as much as Rick is.
Well, it was getting to be an eyesore.
You'd be amazed at how much people really appreciate these volunteers that got together to do this. So I'm hoping that this can continue, that the Historical Society can take this and move it forward. I would recommend anybody that wants to get involved to join the Historical Society, join the Lions Club, get involved in your community one way or another, and let this move forward, help this move forward.
We were doing some talking about some insurance and how that the partnerships would actually benefit the city.
Oh,
How's
well,
that?
the city, first of all, this isn't a city project. I wanted everybody to know the city of Memphis has nothing to do with this. But these groups, these community groups, if they can get together, the Historical Society doesn't know about the insurance, but the Lions Club has a national insurance that would cover the people. And you know, there's all kinds of questions like insurance, funding, all this stuff that has to be worked out. And so hopefully it can all get worked out and we can move forward with some type of project.
We'll need to do a fundraiser, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking a spaghetti dinner or something like that.
Yeah, I heard you were willing to donate your front yard. Now
Well,
that
yeah,
it's
so
so
you can,
beautiful, it'd be a great place to be.
it's not as embarrassing anymore, that's for sure.
And we can't rely on the companies, all these 20, 25 companies that have given. We can't expect them to give every time. I mean, they might want to get involved because it was such a good feeling, but the amount that they gave was significant. And we need to, as a community, be more invested in this project.
Now, you said that this project went pretty fast. Looking back, what do you see that you would need to do maybe next time to make it move a little smoother for you?
Well, as I had said before, I put the cart before the horse. We need to get the horse out there and pull the cart. And the horse is all the rules and regulations and plans. And that takes a long time. So, I mean, just like with our master plan, it's taken over a year to put together. A plan to do this type of project has to be in place. And the Historical Society, that's what they're going to have to work on if they want to move forward.
So you think that the planning, does it start now?
It should start now. They actually started talking about it at the last Historical Society meeting. So the good news is, whoever gets involved in the first steps. So they get to be involved in the planning process. And you don't have to live in the city of Memphis to get involved in the Historical Society or the Lions Club.
Right.
They appreciate people to come in, ideas. If you have knowledge of this type of project, if you know what the pitfalls are, if you know what the things, the shortcuts are. They
An area of expertise.
Yeah, if
come
you
in
haven't,
and
they can use that. So,
Okay.
yeah, come forward. Just lend a voice, lend a helping hand, and
And you're always accepting donations along
always
with that
accepting
work?
money. I'm
Well,
sure they are.
I'd like to thank you guys for coming, and
Thank
we'll
you.
be running at the end here some information for contacting. If you're looking to do any type of volunteer work or you'd like to be involved in any of this, you'll find the information at the end, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Excited about the school done? Yeah.
She took a real nice picture of the mayor and I out front. And she
Everyone on this project, volunteers, construction workers, lunch is served. Please come to lunch. Everyone, come to the front of the building, come to lunch.
For people who don't know me, I'm the mayor of Memphis, and this is our State Representative Andrea LaFontaine. We're at the Memphis Historical Society project to preserve one of our historical homes in Memphis that basically started 2 weeks ago. And as part of that, Andrea has kindly volunteered to feed all the people that have come and volunteered, all the companies that have come forward that have people here. It's the first day of the project. As you see, there's already siding up on half of the house. It's really making a huge difference in helping our community out. Luckily, anytime I've called on Andrea to help out the community, she's been more than willing to get involved in things from funding to try to find funding for roadways to projects like this that aren't so much government but are just community coming together, and she'd like to be part of it.
Right, and the mayor's right. This is a community project. Not only is it improving the looks of our community, it's bringing the community together to really work towards a common goal. I love volunteering for these kinds of projects. This is fabulous. I love this small town. Memphis is wonderful. I'm honored that I was able to feed all the volunteers today, and I can't wait to see the finished product.
And so keep watching on Channel 6. I'm sure you're going to see some pictures of how the project's going along and how it gets finished.
You have to tip it over.
And they all think I'm gone, yeah?
And you're going back in?
No, I knew it was coming when Joe was running around. Joe never runs around.